Mm-hmm. If you're listening, yeah. None of this makes any sense. None of this makes any sense. But here we are. It's October. And I can't figure it out. This is Locked On MLB.
You are Locked On MLB. Your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball, as insane as it may be. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. There's my lower third. You can call me Sully. I am an Emmy-nominated television producer, and I have been podcasting for at least 10 years, and I can't explain the game of baseball anymore. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Hey, Jesus Garcia, one of my listeners, is comes right in. We're doing a live stream today because why not? Nothing makes sense anymore. Not a darn thing makes sense anymore. It is. It's still technically the 15th day of October. This is probably not going to drop till after midnight. So there you go. I mean, listen, only one game is being played tomorrow, and that's Cleveland, New York. Just stop and think about how absolutely this October has been. And you know what? I mean, there's going to be people who are going to say that it's it's bad to have 100-win teams eliminated and 80-some-odd win teams advance. But I'll tell you what it's going to do. It'll create a sense of urgency for those teams that are on the fringe of the wild card to be able to look up and say, hey, either the Phillies or the Padres are going to be in the World Series this year. That's a fact. The St. Louis Cardinals this year were filled with talent, 90-some-odd win team, excellent team. The Mets, the Braves, and the Los Angeles Dodgers all won over 100 games. They're all playing golf tomorrow. The Padres were just sometimes yank your hair out frustrating throughout this season. And the Phillies fired their manager. And at some points, they looked like they were going to stumble and let the Milwaukee Brewers in. That's right, Brewers fans. Your team missed the playoffs by a single game. And the team that finished one game ahead of you is in the National League Championship Series. It's surreal. Jesus Garcia, do you know what? It's a live stream, and I have some stuff I want to say. But the fact of the matter is, I'm gonna play this a little loosey-goosey. I just wanted to start a live stream because I just had to talk about this. Jesus Garcia is one of my good listeners here. He writes, it wasn't Friedman's fault. It wasn't Dave's fault. Jesus is a Dodger fan. In my opinion, this was all the players that couldn't hit after such a great statistical year. Yeah, Jesus, do you know what? It really was. I mean, the fact of the matter is the Dodgers won the first game. They lost the Goose game. And the key in so many ways was not tonight's game where they had a lead in the seventh inning, but last night's game where it was 2-1. 2-1. And look at Snell's a fine pitcher, but it's not like they were facing, the Justin Verlander or Jacob deGrom. I mean, you've got to score 3 runs. If your team filled with MVPs, you got to score 3 runs. And you have to be able to hold this game. Dave Roberts did some. I mean, I guess we'll just jump right into the Padres. I mean, Roberts made a few, let's just be kind and call it questionable decisions with the bullpen. He wasn't quick enough to the trigger. Anderson pitched his 5 innings. And how many pitches did Anderson throw? Anderson threw 86 pitches. And he let up, this is a little bit, again, I'm not going to be old man Sully here, but this is a moment where maybe you try to stretch your pitcher out just a little bit here. I mean, maybe you see if they can get you 6, because the fact of the matter is the Dodgers have a weird bullpen situation, and, Kahnle and Almonte obviously were horrible tonight. But there was just something deflated happened with the Dodgers. You see that stolen base by Juan Soto where he was, left out to dry, and then he realized no one was throwing a second, so he just kind of galloped there, taunting him. I don't understand what happened to the Dodgers. I really don't. I understand maybe the Padres getting 1 win. You know what? And the goose this, the goose that. But there was something about this Dodger team that just tonight, especially once they started rallying, it was 3-0 going to the bottom of the 7th. But they didn't get that big hit in the 7th inning. They got the sac fly, but they didn't get that big hit to suddenly make it 4-0, 5-0. It was still within the reach of the Padres at 3-0. And it's just, I don't know what to make of it. And we're starting to see some of the, right here. I mean, where's it? We have Jesus said he thinks the urgency stopped midway through September. Maybe. But then again, it was a situation where, they just happened to face they happened to lose. I just don't understand it. It makes very little sense to me because the Dodgers won 111 games. They look super deep. Yes, the Gonsolin injury hurts. Yes, the Walker Buehler injury hurts. But I think they had more than enough players to make up for it. And here we are. Here we are, that the Los Angeles Dodgers, the team I picked to win the World Series at the beginning of the year, the team that all season long looked like this was World Series or bust. This championship that and Jack Lynch writes this, and I'm going to be reticent to think the 5 days off had something to do with it. I'm not buying that. I'm sorry, I'm just not buying it. I'm not buying that the 5 days off killed them. Why didn't it kill the Yankees? Why didn't it kill the Astros? The Astros got help from the Mariners bullpen. But, these are the kind of narratives that get, placed upon a series in retrospect. If the Dodgers had swept the Padres, then it was like, see, they were rested and ready to go. But, there's, the Astros had that long period of time off, and they swept Seattle. 2 of them, 2 of them in late inning fashion, but still, they won all 3 games. And here's the thing here, and Jack Lynch, who wrote that he thinks the 5 days off had something to do with it. Here's the main reason I'm against that mindset. The Dodgers won game 1. I'll listen to that if the Dodgers lost game 1. They won game 1. So I'm sorry, I'm not buying the 5 days off thing. I'm really not. I'll listen to it if they lost the opener, but they lost games 2, 3, and 4. And now, look at there's so many reasons. Okay, let's use one more. One more. We're going to go. Donovan Burrell is here. What did he say? Hi, Sully. I'm new here. I'm a Yankees, Warriors, Steph's fan. Oh, well, there you go. Cowboys fan. Well, you have to root for one team that doesn't win. And I'm stunned about the Dodgers lost and the Padres. I picked them to win the World Series. You're not alone, buddy. You're not alone. I think a bunch of people went up BetOnline and lost their shirts. I don't even have a BetOnline copy to read right now. The Dodgers won the World Series this year. You would have to put this Dodger team alongside some of the great teams in National League history. But it's tough to do that when they wet the bed in October. And, it may not be fair, but you got to win these games. That's part of it. It's part of that. And they had their chances. 2-1 last night. They had a lead in the 7th inning, 3-run lead in the 7th inning. If you're a team that's supposed to win the World Series, you've got to be able to hold a 3-0 lead in the 7th inning. We'll get to you in a minute, Yankee fans. But the fact of the matter is, the Dodgers, the consensus pick to win it all, is playing golf. And we're also learning something else, which is how hard it is to repeat. And it may be a long time before we see a team repeat because of the gauntlet and because of the chance that happens. And we'll be covering that in segment 2. But right now, I'm just telling you, the numbers don't lie. Padres took it to the Dodgers. And numbers don't lie. In the past decade, over 4 million people have chosen SimpliSafe home security system to protect their home. You don't earn the trust of that many people without doing something right. At SimpliSafe, it's the only thing that matters. I've got SimpliSafe in my own home. They protect you with cutting-edge security technology powered by 24/7 professional monitoring agents who always have your back. With 24/7 professional monitoring, SimpliSafe's agent call you the moment a threat is detected and dispatch police or first responders in an emergency, even if you're not home or can't be reached. SimpliSafe's blankets your home in protection with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door, HD security cameras for inside and outside your home, smarter ways to detect motion that only alert you when a threat is real, and even hazard sensors that instantly detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. Our monitoring experts use proprietary advanced response technology to visually confirm when a break-in is real, so you get the highest priority police dispatch. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplisafe.com/LockedOnMLB. Save 20% on your SimpliSafe security system when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan and get your first month for free. You visit simplisafe.com/LockedOnMLB to learn more. All right, I alluded to this. By the way, I got to just say it. There you go. Lover of California is a thrilled Padres fan and a bit stunned. You're not alone. You're not alone. Cherish this. Cherish this. San Diego, I've called San Diego Buffalo by the Sea, in that they are a city that has been snake bit in terms of their sports teams, but they'll never get the credit for being a tortured fan base because they live in freaking San Diego, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. So it's not like, your team lost and you got to shovel your driveway in Buffalo or in Cleveland. So savor this, Padres fan. And also savor the fact that the Padres are going to be playing the Phillies. They're not going to play the Mets. They're not going to play the Cardinals. They're not going to play, who else could they have played? The Braves in the NLCS. They're going to play the Phillies. Now, don't sleep on the Phillies. They beat a very good Cardinals team and the defending World Series champion. And give them credit. Give them credit. In fact, you can say a gigantic chunk of this year's postseason changed in the 9th inning of Game 1 of the Wild Card Series, when St. Louis had a 2-0 lead on Philadelphia. And it looked like they were cruising. And the Cardinals were a potential team to upset the apple cart. And they had the narrative to go with them. Pujols' last year, Molina's last year, that whole group together, one last rodeo. They had the lead in the 9th inning, 2-0 lead, and they coughed up 6 runs. And the next day, they only scored 1 run. Oh, no, the next day they were shut out. That's right, they were shut out. I got it mixed up with another game. The point is this. The Cardinals hold on to that lead in the wild card game. Chances are this postseason's a lot different. Chances are St. Louis plays Atlanta. Now, that game, they may have beaten Atlanta as well. But the fact of the matter is, Wheeler's pitched very well. Nola's pitched very well. Real Muto gets an inside the park home run. And the way that the Padres beat the Dodgers, and the Dodgers looked like they were a little bit, like they were coasting. The Braves didn't look that into it either. The Braves looked kind of dead. And Charlie Morton looked bad from the start. And he got hurt, and then they just kept taking it to him. But, the other thing was the night before, Philadelphia won 9-1. I mean, they blew the doors off the dump with the Atlanta Braves. And here we go. The defending World Series champs are gone. It's going to be really hard to run through this gauntlet and be able to win it in back-to-back years. So here we go, Philly, a flawed team, PHLAU. Never mind. They're flawed. And so are San Diego. So it is a 100% crapshoot that's going to happen in the National League. You can't look at me and tell me you know who's going to win this. If I have to pick someone, I'll pick San Diego. But Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler could make mincemeat out of that. And we may be having a Philadelphia World Series. I don't know, and neither do you. But we're not going through Atlanta. Now, we finally went through Seattle, the first home game of a postseason game played in Seattle since 2001. And clearly, they wanted to play two because they played 18 freaking innings. Now, here's the deal. First of all, give both pitching staffs credit. I mean, there's 17 innings where no runs were scored. And, you look at Kirby, who started the game for started the game for Seattle, and he pitched 7 shutout innings. They stretched him. They didn't say, here's your 5. Here's your 5 innings. Now let's go to the bullpen. But this was a game where they had to just keep dipping into the bullpen, And, Brash pitched great, wiggling out of trouble. Sewald, Swanson, Festa, Boyd, Murphy pitched great, but eventually he ran out of gas. He pitched his 2 innings. He let up 1 home run. In 18 innings, 20 strikeouts, 11 hits, 1 walk in 18 innings, and the home run. And there we have it. And kind of oddly appropriate is the guy who replaced Carlos Correa was the one guy who drove in a run. But really give credit to the Astros pitchers. I mean, Presley, every time he let go of the ball, the game was on the line. Abreu, Stanek, Brown, and finally Garcia came out and pitched 5 shutout innings, striking out 6, getting the final out. I mean, every pitch that Garcia threw, excuse me as I scratch my nose, every single pitch that Garcia threw, the game was on the line. They could have had walk-off hits for the first 4 innings every time he let go of the ball. And he made it through. And, the Astros remain the lone 100-win team. And you know what? There you go. The Astros move on. Here's the crazy thing. Think about I just mentioned all those pitchers. The Mariners came up to bat in the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, the 16th, and the 17th. Every single pitch thrown to them could have been a walk-off hit. And think if 2 simple things happen. Remember, because Jordan Alvarez hit a 3-run home run with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th, his team down by 2. Let's say the Mariners hold on to that lead in game 1, and they get 1 home run in that stretch between the 9th and the 17th innings. Suddenly, if just one of those things happen, just one of them, we're having a much different series right now. But instead, the Astros wiggle out of 2 of them. Now, the Mariners look very good moving forward, but the Astros are still the big brother right now. And it's looking more, I'm not going to say it's looking more because nothing makes sense anymore. I was going to say it's looking more likely that the Astros are going to go back to the World Series, but I don't know. Give the Astros a ton of credit. They did what they were supposed to do, even though it wasn't pretty. And for those of everyone saying, oh, what about the layoff for the Dodgers? What about the layoff for the Braves? Astros had the same layoff and they swept. They swept. Yes, the first game. Oops, there goes my ring light. Man, oh man, nothing is predictable. Where the heck is my ring light here? Give me a second. Oh, nothing works anymore. There it is. Ah, yes. The glories of doing a live webcast. You know what? The Astros had the same layoff, and they did what they were supposed to do. Good for the Mariners. They got back in. It's the first step. This reminds me of those teams who take that first step and then they're going forward. I think the Mariners are going to be a really good team from now on. But the Astros are a really good team now. Jack Lynch reminds us that the Yankees are facing elimination tomorrow. Very weird. Very weird. I said that the Yankees' Achilles heel was probably going to be the bullpen. And as it turned out, the bullpen lost games 2 and games 3. There's just weird decisions by Aaron Boone. Jameson Taillon coming out of the bullpen in game 2. And today using Clark Schmidt, and I mean, it just, that to me was the surreal decision. And Clay Holmes was used the other day, and Boone said he wasn't going to use him unless it was an emergency. Okay. Isn't 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th of a playoff game an emergency? And look, at nothing against Clark Schmidt, but he was the wrong guy for that situation. Are we in another year where Aaron Boone is going to manage the Yankees out of the postseason? Are we going to? I mean, that's a distinct possibility. There was no way that I thought when the Yankees took a 5-3 lead into the 9th, I just thought, okay, that's it. And in my head, I was thinking, well, do you know what? Give the Yankees credit where credit is due. They were getting big hits. They finally got a home run from Judge. And by the way, shame on any Yankee fan who booed Judge the other day. Yeah, he got off to a crap start. He had a bad 2 games. Everyone is allowed a bad 2 games, especially for the guy who carried the team to the division title. But he hit a big home run today. Harrison Bader hit a big home run today. The kid Peraza got a big home run today. It looked like this was their night. And then came that 9th. Now, there's something that we can all learn, and I mentioned this in a previous show, that the Guardians have demonstrated the importance of putting the ball in play, not always waiting for the walk. Sometimes put the ball in play. Now, you talk about the 3 certain results. You know that a walk is going to be a walk, a strikeout is going to be a strikeout, and a homer is going to be a homer. Well, sometimes you put the ball in play and good things happen. How many hits did the Guardians get in the rallies in both games 2 and 3 that were bloops? That they just put the bat on the ball and hoped it landed somewhere. That a ball just blooped into left field was going to turn into an adventure. They put the ball in play. And here we are. Here we are. And you're starting to see that the Yankee clubhouse is not exactly a happy place either. Severino couldn't understand why Holmes wasn't pitching. Neither could Holmes. At this point, you got to throw everything into the dumpster. The fact of the matter is the season's on the line. And tomorrow, it really is on the line. And you're going to throw Garrett Cole in short rest, which is usually not a recipe for success. But we'll see, because nothing has made sense since October. We had 4 games today, and we're going to have 1 tomorrow. The only one, Cleveland, New York, in Cleveland. And you got to, at this point, I don't have trust in Garrett Cole in a short series. And I also just feel like this Cleveland team is going to be like an annoying gnat in the ear of the Yankees. As the Yankees are trying to bust home run after home run, Cleveland's going to get bloop, 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 bloop. And here we go. And of course, Boone will never get blamed for anything, and Cashman will never get blamed for everything. And every Yankee hater in the world will be jumping up and down thrilled when they get renewed and they come back next year. The Padres and the Phillies are going to be in the World Series. That's going to happen. It might be against the Astros. If it's Cleveland, San Diego, then that is going to be an ultimate matchup between two snake-bitten franchises. And there is a possibility, and think about this for a second, there is a possibility that Cleveland, who was tied with Minnesota on Labor Day, there's a possibility, may not be likely, but the 92-win Indians may have home field advantage in the World Series. Actually, if they make it to the World Series, they will. There's no doubt around it. If Cleveland makes it to the World Series, if they win one game against New York and 4 games against Houston, both of which are possible, then they will host the World Series. They'll have home field advantage in the World Series. And we all saw what good that did them in 2016. Don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. And neither do you, but it makes it kind of fun. So, hey, for those who join us, thanks so much for joining us. Go to Lockdown MLB Pods on Twitter and Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Live tweeting my raw thoughts and seeing the likes of all you wonderful people to chat. This has been Locked On MLB. It's past midnight now in California for the 16th day of October 2022. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me